Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and this is episode 294 of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call it Online Marketing Moves. And we are coming to you live today. Today is May the 31st, 2021, at the time of this recording. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Monday. It's the last day of the month. It's exciting times, huh? It's already June. Can you believe that? Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the only thing I do. I'm going to record the podcast, go to Home Depot, and do a little work around the house, and then that's going to be about it. Tomorrow, we will crank up the whole online business again, Some days you have to take it easy. But and I hope you're doing the same. Taking it easy at least one day a week, something like that. All right. You gotta get rest. As I told you the other day, my wife said, "You're snoring more and more." And I said, I'm working more and more, sister. What do you expect? So now she has this move. She's like, sleep on your stomach. And I'm like, what? She's like, you don't snore as loud when you sleep on your stomach. I'm like, all right, thank you. What am I, an animal now? All right. Anyway, ladies and gents, today we are going to discuss something that's fairly important when it comes to your business. Now, I know we do things online. I know this business of yours, this business of mine, it's online, but you want to gain more success. If you want to get more, let's say, you want to make more money, you have to do some things offline. And some things I suggest is you send people stuff through the mail, whether it be FedEx, UPS, the post office, I don't care. Whether it be t-shirts, whether you have newsletters, whether you have books, whatever. I suggest you send people stuff through the mail because there's so many ebooks, and we all do it from time to time. Everybody's gonna create some kind of ebook or something like that. But that's just to get people in the door. You know what I mean? Like that's it's like fishing. You ever been fishing? Throw out the little hook, and people say, "Hey, I got an ebook." Ebook for email address. That's fair. That's nothing wrong with that. But when you get them in, you want to start standing out, and different there are plenty of ways to stand out. We talk about this all the time. One way you can stand out. Let's say you come up with I'm not saying you have to sit here and bump your head against the wall trying to come up with a t-shirt slogan. Let's say you have something cool, kind of t-shirt that you want to create, that you want to do. You create the t-shirt and you start to gain an audience, you start to gain some attraction, and you want to give people the t-shirt. You say, hey, give me your shipping address and I'll send you the t-shirt. And people will get this t-shirt, people will rip the t-shirt open. And people these days, everybody loves to do the what's those videos? Unpacking videos, unboxing videos. So you send people the t-shirt, a couple of them, unbox it, unpack it, or a couple of them wear it and they post it. That's good for you. And it's because now that people really don't get mail anymore, people not as much as they used to, it's exciting when people do get mail. And I mean, as you've seen it, during this pandemic, more you probably ordered more online than you have in a long time. Or some of you might just love to order online, but you get those packages in the mail, you get those packages to your doorstep, you're like excitement. You know what I mean? So always be thinking about that. Always be, because this is part of the whole, you know, this is part of the whole. We talked about this. We talked about this before. This is part of the. This is the whole 360 view of your business. This is the whole 360 view of your store. We have the store. You come into the store. You just don't want to be like, hey, we only do ebooks. Hey, we only do this. We only do that. We only do things online. No. Sometimes you want to take this stuff offline and send people stuff in the mail. And if you do like, let's say eventually you come up with a newsletter. People are starting to really trying to hunker down on newsletters. People are like, hey, I got a newsletter, whether it's good or not, who knows? But if you ever get into that mix and you want to send a physical newsletter, you could do that. And it's very cool because I get a newsletter every month about copywriting, about emailing, and it's very neat because I come home and there's a letter on my doorstep, and I'm like, oh, cool. And then I open it up, and I keep them, and they're like collect. For me, I'm like, all right, I read it. I read it a couple times, and then sometimes I go back like later on just to study up on it. But I have them in my hands, and for me, reading stuff reading stuff in a book, reading stuff in a newsletter in my hands is a lot easier for me than to read it on the Kindle. Like I've bought a couple books on the Kindle, but you never know what's going to happen with Amazon. Amazon one day might be like, F Kindle, we're shutting it down. And then, that's why I don't buy too many books on the Kindle. And also it's a lot easier. And also it's more, collection. I can read them. I can always go back. I don't have to fire up my phone. I can always go back, grab the book, grab the newsletter, So it's a very cool way. All right. So you want to, and it's a nice feeling I have. And so for you, let's say you want to create a newsletter, you do books, you want to not only do digital, but you also want to, if you can, send people out books in the physical form. You know what I mean? I remember for a while, a lot of people were like, "Hey, well, I'll send you a book if you pay for the shipping." I mean, that's a kind of a that's kind of a thing. You can do that if you want to, but you know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like to me, that's just kind of it's like I'm paying for the book. So if you do that, you realize the people are paying for the book. You're like, no, 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 no. It's free. You just pay for the shipping. It's like, why do I have to pay for the shipping? Send me if it's a free book, why am I paying for shipping? Send me the book. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that's neither here nor there. That's up to your discretion, however you want to do it. But t-shirts, keychains, newsletters, there's all kind of things you can send in the mail. And people will get excited. People will like it, and and if you put it in a nice package, depends how you put it in a package. People will be like, "Oh, look," and then they will unbox it, or they will shoot a video, or they will wear your stuff, and that's another good way to get your name out there. That's another good way to get your company out there. It's another because can you imagine you somebody's walk? Listen, my friend used to make these T-shirts. My friend, he owns a donut shop, and he used to make these T-shirts, and you know, I'm his homeboy. So of course I get the T-shirt, and I was going from I'm going from one side of the country to another. So I remember one time I got stopped in Louisiana. I got stopped at the I got stopped by we'll say the police stopped me. Okay, the police stopped me to check out the truck, and then I remember the lady was like, Sublime Donuts. Where's that at? That look good. And I was like, that's in Georgia. And she's like, hmm. And so she was like, when I come to Georgia, I'm going there. You know what I mean? So whether she went there or not, it's still it plants a thought in somebody's head. And somebody sees, and I've been stopped a couple times wearing these T-shirts. I've been stopped at the movie theater. I've been stopped here. I've been stopped there. And they're like, oh, I like that place. I'm gonna go. You know what? You just gave me. I'm gonna go to this place. So it helps. You know what I mean? So if you and it does, and you can be creative. And there's different companies that you can work with that will make stuff, and they can put your logo, your label on, and you can start shipping them out. And I believe you might have to pay them a little bit, but they can ship them out. But the point is, The point is good for you because you want to be you want to be on people's minds. You want to be in you want to be out there, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to be especially if you first getting started, because you want to climb above the rest. So you want to just that's a good way because a lot of people will not do physical products. A lot of people are like, no, grab this cheap ebook. And a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, a lot of people they go to these PLR sites and they get the same book. They get the same book and then they try to sell it to you or they try to put it up on you, but it's an old book. It's no good. It has old information because as you well know, this stuff changes on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Like 2 years ago, I'm sure what was the craze? Snapchat or whatever. Now it's TikTok. You know what I mean? And a year from now, 2 years from now, there'll be some other social media site that we all clamoring on. Vying for people's attention and everything like that. So things change. So these books, like some books, yeah, some books you can buy from the 1900s and it is not changed. But a lot of time, these ebooks that people come out with, like I was gonna go to this PLR website and purchase an ebook and send it out and swap it for people's email addresses. But I got to thumbing through the ebook and it was old as molasses. Like it was from 2007 and it was talking about MySpace and I said I can't use that. Like MySpace don't even exist. So what would I look like if I sent you a ebook that says MySpace on there? You would say this guy's full of crap, right? Of course. And you don't want your reputation to be tarnished. You don't want to be a huckster. You know what I mean? You don't want to be a con man. You avoid that. So you come out with your own product. It don't take long. You can write a one page. You can write a 1-page letter. You can write a 2-page letter. You can create your own stuff, and you can do that. You know what I mean? So definitely be careful about the digital PLR stuff if you're gonna go that route. And you can always go to the Upworks and the Fiverrs and pay somebody and they can write a book for you. Shh, don't tell nobody, you know what I mean? But you can always pay them and somebody can write a little book for you. But when you start to get momentum, you start to really get to going. I highly suggest that you do, t-shirts, keychains, books, send books in the mail, send people stuff in the mail, mix and match. That's going to be one of the things that we use on this program very often. You want to get a nice blend going, and you know what to do. And by the way, if you really do newsletters and stuff like that, that is a good way to get monthly income. You know what I mean? Like I paid like $90 for my newsletter I get every month. It's worth it. I like it. I enjoy it. But can you imagine if you charging people $90 and let's say you have let's do some math. You have let's say $90 and you have we'll say 500. We always go low. Let's say you have 500 people paying you $90 a month for a newsletter. That's $45,000 a month. All right, and it's $540,000 a year minus the cost that it takes to ship it out and everything like that. Cut that down, and you're still coming out. You're still coming out ahead of the game. You know what I mean? And all you have to do is to get more people. Send out more emails. Maybe do a couple of videos. So keep that in mind as well. So, all right, newsletters. Even let's say you want to do a little back. Let's say a quarterly magazine. You want to try to do that. That would be something cool to do and something to send to people. You know what I mean? Even let's say you write a letter and you put that in the mail and you send it to your people and you send it to people you have the addresses for, like a letter, like, hey, I'm doing this and we're doing this, we're doing that. People will be excited to get a letter in the mail. You know what I mean? When the last time you got a letter from a person in the mail? I'll wait. It's been a long time, right? Of course. You remember those days? I'm, you know, I graduated high school in 1997, boys and girls. So I remember getting letters in the mail. I remember writing letters, and I remember getting letters in the mail, and it was cool. It was, I would, I remember somebody was, I would write, and then I would, would never hear it. They got the letter, but they would just write back, and then the next week, my mom would be like, "There you go, here's your mail." And I'm like, "Cool, I got mail," So, you know, I still get that, especially when it's not a bill. You know what I mean? Like when it's not a bill, you're like, "All right, I'll look at this," because once you become an adult, the thing they don't really tell you is, whew, and them bills, they don't stop. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's nice to get something else different in the mail. So keep that in mind. You can always do the digital products, but also be thinking about physical products that you can send. And like we talked about it before, we talked about stacking content. You can always package. We can always package your content into different ways. I've seen people come up. I've seen people create a book out of old like podcasts. I've seen people create books out of old blog posts. So don't think that the content you're creating right now is just for naught. You can always save it, you can always keep it, and then you can always put it into books, you can always put it into the newsletters, you can always put it into this, you can always put it into that. And the keychains and the t-shirts and all that is just good. That's just good stuff for, it's like, I remember, I give you an example. I remember. I don't know if you know this guy or not, but it's a guy named Bubba the Love Sponge, okay? And he used to be on Howard 101 when Howard Stern had two channels when he came to Sirius Satellite Radio. And so he had Bubba the Love Sponge on there. And I used to be driving my truck and I would see people with these mud flaps and it said Bubba's Army. And I'm like, Bubba's Army? What the world is this? And I seen quite a few of them. I'm like, Bubba's Army, Bubba's Army. And so one day, I was just flipping through the channels and I heard the guy and he was like, Bubba the Love Sponge, go ahead and get your Bubba mud flaps. So this guy was selling mud flaps to people. They was ordering them and they was putting them on the truck. And I mean, from, you know, Washington State to Florida, I've seen them here and there, sporadically. But, I've seen enough of them to be like, oh, that's cool. So there's different ways, there's different ideas you can do with any kind of thing, no matter what you do, you know, no matter what kind of thing you want to get into. And when it comes to online marketing, it doesn't matter. You can finagle your way into this, relationships. If you want to do t-shirts, little mugs, I love Sally, I love Jane, whatever, is all kinds of things that you can do. So, keep an open mind, write down some ideas, and just figure it out, and if you have any questions, you can always email me at tony@onlinemarketingmoves.com and we can, maybe I can give you a couple ideas. You can run them by me. So, yeah. And if you ever have any ideas for your business that you want to run by somebody, I mean, please, you can email me because I know sometimes, like, if I run something by my wife and she's like, no, no, that's not good. And I'm like, really? I'm more likely to shut it down quicker than if I run it by somebody else. You know what I mean? Like if I run it by you, not that, I mean, we're pals, you know what I mean? Because you listen to the show. So we are friends. So if I run it by you and you're like, I think maybe you should do this. I think maybe you should do that. You're not gonna just be like, no. Like I love my wife, but you're more likely just to say no to somebody that that you are very, very familiar with than, you know, the person that you're just getting to know. You know what I mean? So that's that. And so if you ever have any questions, you ever have any ideas, please don't be hesitant. You can always email me at Tony@onlinemarketingmoves.com and I will be happy to correspond with you. I mean, we're not going to sit here and do a whole powwow, but I will write back or respond. We'll tell you thank you for listening. And, that's that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the podcast. Man, I thought this was going to be a 5-minute episode, but ladies and gentlemen, apparently these days we are going long and long. All right. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will be back tomorrow with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, take care of yourselves. Take it easy. My name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.